Morning. I want to thank everyone for being here today. We are going to be signing House Bill 2541. It makes changes to the college tuition assistance program for members of the Kansas National Guard. This bill will give current Guard members the opportunity to earn 15 credit hours every semester at no cost to the Guardsmen. We value our men and women of the Kansas National Guard and the service they provide our state. And I want to thank all of you for your service and what you've done for our state and for our country. Thank you very much. And all Kansans are very proud, and we really appreciate this very much. And that's why we have this program as a way for us to show our gratitude to these dedicated service members and give them great opportunities for the future. Funding for this program is currently included in the House side of the budget. However, the Senate has not yet added funding for this important program, and I'm calling on all members of the legislature to support this important program as we go forward and to have 100% tuition assistance funding. In order to protect our communities, our state, and our country, the Kansas National Guard must be able to recruit and retain the very best to fill their positions. Investing in higher education for Kansas Guardsmen helps accomplish that goal and is really an investment in educating Kansas ourselves. This is important for higher education as well. The Kansas National Guard Education Assistance Program supports higher education and incentivizes service to the state by providing tuition assistance for those willing to protect us. The changes in this bill help make Kansas competitive with our surrounding states, all of whom fund tuition at 100%. This brings Kansas to the top of the list. This is an investment that not only benefits those who serve, but it also benefits Kansas employers. Kansas employers get the benefit of not only our great servicemen and women, but the great educational experience and background so that they are the workforce of the future, that their futures are here in Kansas. So I'm happy to sign this bill. And once again, I urge the legislature to fully fund this important higher education program. And so I would like to invite a couple of others to discuss this. I'd like to invite the Adjutant General, Lee Taffanelli. General Taffanelli.
Thank you very much, Governor Collier. And we are very excited about today and the signing for House Bill 2541. As the governor indicated, this really does a lot for our recruiting and retention of our National Guardsmen that really do so much for not only here in the state, but for our nation. And so one of the things that this bill does allow us to do, it allows us to streamline and make the program much more effective than it previously was. It puts some caps in terms on the number of dollars that are spent. It does force our service members to spend the federal dollars first and have the state tuition assistance be that last piece. Again, to try to make the program much more effective. And as the governor mentioned, to put ourselves in competition with the surrounding states that offer tuition assistance at the 100% level is a tremendous recruiting tool. And if you think about the average individuals that we get into our formations, the average age is about 18 to 24 years old, of which only 27% of those individuals are even eligible to join the military, any military. And so when you further pare that down to those that have a propensity to serve, that number is less than 6%. And those who actually do raise their hand to wear the cloth of this nation is really less than 1%. And so we're really all trying to go after those same high caliber of individuals. And when we can offer benefits like this, it really allows us to give back to our communities, invest in that future, invest in that education of our service members. And it's a very small way for us to say thank you for raising your hand, thank you for your willingness to serve and the sacrifices that you'll endure. So again, there's a lot of individuals that were really part of this to make this effort. Representative Dirks, Senator Baumgardner, and a whole host of others, our Enlisted Association of the National Guard of Kansas, our Officer Association of the National Guard. Everybody really came together. All of our community college and Board of Regents partners really made this all possible, and we're very excited to have you sign this today and make this a reality when we couple it with the funding here in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, General. I'd like to also invite Chief Master Sergeant Troy Abel to come up as well. There you are.
Good morning. I'm here today on behalf of the Enlisted Association of the National Guard of Kansas, of which I'm currently serving as president. I've been very fortunate to be involved with this process from the early stages of House Bill 2541. Our association helps legislators both at the state and national level understand how their decisions will affect members of the Kansas National Guard on behalf of its enlisted forces. We work very closely with the Officers Association as we have a lot of the same goals and are working towards the same ends. I must say that as I've seen this go through, the support that it's received from the legislator, from the governor, and also from our Kansas National Guard leadership makes us feel good as guardsmen to know that not only do our leadership within the Guard have our back, but also our lawmakers as well. So that's very comforting. So I want to say thank you to all of you. I would also like to state that as members of the association, we also wear the uniform that you see behind you, either whether you're a soldier or you're an airman. And for us, this bill means a lot. It means, as the general said, we will be able to fill our formations and our wings with quality individuals to better serve the citizens of Kansas. And most importantly to us, not only are we Kansas National Guardsmen, but we are Kansas citizens as well. So the fiscal responsibility that is expressed within this bill that ensures that this is going to be a viable program for us into the future is important to us as well, because we're all taxpayers the same as everyone else. So again, thank you for having me today. Governor, thank you very much for signing this into law.
Really appreciate it. I would also, this is a joint effort. It also includes the State Board of Regents, and I'd like to invite President Blake Flanders as well.
Well, I'd just take a moment, first of all, to say, on behalf of the Board of Regents, thank you. Thank you to our service members for your service. So appreciate that spirit in which they serve and our ability, perhaps, to give some back. I also would want to be sure and thank General Taffanelli, thank Governor Collier, the House, soon the Senate, for supporting this funding. Because here's what we know: this is great for our National Guard, just in terms of recruitment. It's great for the individual as well. What we know is in Kansas, you know, our economy's been changing. And now about 71% of the jobs are going to require some education beyond high school. That doesn't necessarily mean a baccalaureate degree. Could be a technical certificate or an associate degree at a community or technical college. It might be a baccalaureate degree or higher. And we're going to give individuals the ability to access that education, have a successful experience, and then selfishly, they're going to return to our Kansas communities and boost all of Kansas. So this is great for the individual. It's also great for Kansas. And on behalf of the Board of Regents, thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I keep talking about our kids need to see their future in Kansas, and this is the best example of this here today. Part of this is the technical and community colleges that are involved with this important mission. And so I'd like to invite Linda Fund of the Association of Community Colleges. Linda, thank you.
Thank you, Governor. I consider this to be a very exciting moment. This House bill is a great bill for all of us. My thanks to the National Guard members. It's been a joy working with them on this bill. We have many guardsmen at our campuses, and we are very pleased that they're at community colleges. Everybody before me said some of the most important thoughts I had on my mind, so I'm just going to leave you with one thought. Each year, there are about 400 students who are able to participate in this scholarship, and it's important that they be able to get 100% of the scholarship, so the funding is incredibly important. I shared with the governor, my hometown is 400 people, so what a great thing can happen with one bill, and this is it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So what we'll be doing is we're going to sign the bill, and then right after the signing, I would like to ask the representatives and senators to speak a little bit as well. And so we're going to get this moved first. Let's get everybody up. Okay. Come on. I had breakfast. I don't bite. Okay. We had donuts today. So, all right. So this is for House Bill 2541. All right. Here we go. So this is our official one. I'm going to be signing some ceremonial copies, and while we're doing that, Sarah Baumgartner, would you like to say a little bit for us? Oh.
When this House bill came to the Senate Education Committee, we were just so overwhelmed by the testimony that we heard from the representatives from our National Guard. And what we learned was that there was such a significant need, and we felt it was important that if we had young folks in Kansas that wanted to step forward to serve Kansas, we needed to make sure that we had opportunities available that we were giving back to them. And so not only did we have our hearing, but the very next day we decided to work the bill. And the way that we worked it is we didn't want to worry about a delay of this bill coming above the line. We knew the House had passed it. And so that's why we put it so that it would fast track on the Senate side. So we were so pleased that 3 days after we worked the bill, we were able to have that get its way to the governor. So,
Diana?
step right up there.
It is such a pleasure to be here today. It seems like it took me forever. I'm the author of the bill, and I introduced it in the House, and it was just such a great response, and I knew that we were going to have similar response with the Senate. It's a bill that's much needed. We are wanting to show how much we appreciate the National Guard and what they're doing. They are boots on the ground. I have a grandson that just came back from Kuwait, and he was telling me about that experience. But I think we here as a state really do need to appreciate those who serve and take care of us in times of floods and disasters and tornadoes. And they are the first ones that the state calls out. And so it was such an honor to be able to author this bill. And today is just a marvelous day for us. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Governor, for signing it.
Thank you very much. Ebert?
Thank you very much. Likewise, it's really an honor to be here. Over the years, I know we've had a lot of opportunities to thank our servicemen and women for the sacrifices they give up. And when we look at the situation nowadays where many of our civilian military folks have been deployed numerous times, obviously they're interrupting their careers, they're interrupting their education. So they obviously have limitations sometimes on their earning powers. And I think this is one way with this bill that we can really give back to these folks and let them continue on with their educations, or even in some cases start their education and get back to taking care of their families and themselves. I want to thank Representative Dirks for her role, and also Senator Baumgartner, but most of all thank the servicemen and women behind me. Really appreciate that. And we talk about partnerships over the years, and especially in this particular case, higher education stepping forward and being a partner with our servicemen and women is really a great model for, I think, other states to even look at. But as the governor said, we're now up there with the rest of them. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Brendan?
I'd be more than honored to say a few words. Forbes Field and the National Guard have been in my school district for many, many years. I'm the former superintendent of the Auburn-Washburn School District, and I have some ties with some of the folks that you see standing here behind us today. I think this is part of the Education Committee also. I think this just gives us a tremendous opportunity to be able to give back to the people who give so much to us. And it was just an honor to be able to hear the testimony on this bill, see how important it is for providing opportunities for our folks who deserve our support. And so thank you so much, Governor, for signing this bill, and for our House and Senate individuals who've pushed this forward. It's a great bill. Thank you.
Very much. And so what we would like to do is, I know you have some questions about the bill. We'll take that, and then I know some people have some questions also about K-12 education. We can take that right afterwards. So I'll let you guys.
Governor, can you help us with the fiscal note on this and general capital, since this is about recruitment and so forth? Can you talk about the airland recruitment gap that you may have?
Sure.
Just whatever ballpark numbers those might be.
Okay. So just a little bit to Tim's question on the fiscal note to this. In the governor's budget, we requested $2.1 million to fully fund the tuition assistance program in the state. And again, that's why we kind of went after some of the efficiencies in the program to leverage the federal funds first and some of those other things to really shrink that number down to the minimum essential that we'll need for that program. When we look at it from a strength perspective, on the Army and the air side, nationally, accession numbers have not been met for a number of years. And this is Army-wide, Air Force-wide. In large part, if you look at it from the fact that the Department of Defense was downsizing. And so what they've done is had a requirement for fewer enlistees, and they were able to make their strength numbers by retention and some other factors. And so when I kind of mentioned in my comments that if you look at the 18 to 24-year-old, was it that primary age group that we're after, less than 27% of those are even eligible to serve. And that's things like obesity, it could be childhood diabetes, a number of medical issues, to include legal issues, things that maybe years ago would have had the sheriff or local police chief take you to your parents, now will get you a record that prohibits you from military service. So when you look at all those things, and it's really been about a 40-year trend down there, and then the propensity to serve piece, which I mentioned, is about 6%. So it's a very small number. Now, if we look at it from a Kansas perspective, our strength on the Army side is in the low to mid-90s. On the air side, it's right at about 89, 90%. And our retention numbers are in the top third in the nation for the retention piece of it. So our focus has really been on the accession pieces. How do we get those young men and women that we want to fill our formations to join? And the number one benefit around the country in any of the states that are successful, and even the Army or the Air Force, it really is that 100% tuition piece. Being able to pay for whether it's a community college degree, whether it's a 4-year degree, or even a certificate from a technical school that gets them a skill that then they can take to the workforce. Because again, 75% of our formation are traditional soldiers. It means they live and work in our communities and have a civilian job. And oh, by the way, they also serve their state and their nation. And so their ability to have the right education opportunities, have those skill sets, so that not only can we have them in our formations, but they also have good, stable jobs in their communities.
Somebody's thinking about how many airmen soldiers a year take advantage of this?
What we've had in the past is about a little over 400, and that number fluctuates a little bit in many respects. And how many deployments we have, we just received back in the last month probably 600 or 700 soldiers. We're in the process of sending out about another 12 or 1,300 soldiers. And you look at it on the air side, the numbers are a little bit lower than that, but they deploy more frequently. And so if they're deploying, then they're not going to be taking classes that semester. And so that's why those numbers kind of fluctuate a little bit. Really depends on what our deployment schedules are.
Are they able to use this with any Regents-affiliated school, or is it any, like private also?
It's all, for all state of Kansas schools, and the Regents have been a tremendous partner on a whole host of areas. And one of the things I would like to mention about the Regents, what they have done in the past is really try to leverage all their other funds to really kind of help our soldiers and airmen, get a little bit more and provide some more assistance with the education piece.
Ask one way to bring the fiscal numbers down is to bring the cost of tuition down. Any chance that Regents will get restoration of their cuts?
The legislature has not put anything like that on our desk. The real, this is a program that is going to be providing stability no matter what happens with the Regents or other funds.